My dear friends, I am Dr. Wasim I Khan, Assistant Professor, Shri Shivaji Law College, Parbhani, Maharashtra, India. So in today's lecture, we will discuss a first part of tort of defamation, which deals with the concept of defamation, introduction, definition, and types of defamation we will discuss in this lecture. So we will discuss the case laws also. So let's start the topic. So in today's lecture, we will discuss definition and kinds of defamation. So this is the first lecture relating to the topic of defamation. In the next lectures, we will discuss the essentials of defamation, defenses available for the tort of defamation, and remedies available for the tort of defamation. So first of all, we will discuss the introduction. A man's reputation is his property and is more valuable than any other tangible assets. So it is an admitted fact that the reputation of a person is a very, very valuable property other than any tangible assets. So if we compare the reputation with the tangible assets with the other property, then reputation occupies a prime position. A person can protect his reputation, and the law has given a right to the persons to protect his reputation. So every man has the right to have his reputation preserved. So no one will be entitled to attack on your reputation. If any person attacks on your reputation, then definitely you will be entitled to file a suit against that person for the tort of defamation. So reputation is more essential than any tangible assets. It is more valuable than any other property. The loss of property can be restored, but once the reputation is affected, it cannot be restored easily. To defame means to attack the reputation of a person. To defame means attack on the reputation of a person. If someone attack on the reputation of other person, then he will be liable for the tort of defamation. So to defame means to attack the reputation of a person. The degree of suffering caused by loss of reputation far exceeds that caused by loss of any material wealth. If we compare the loss caused to the reputation and the loss caused to any material wealth, then the degree of suffering is far in case of reputation, and in case of material wealth it is less. So we cannot compare the reputation with any other tangible asset, with any other property. So we cannot compare the reputation with any other property. So now we will move towards the definition of defamation. Winfield defines the term defamation. Defamation is the publication of a statement which tends to lower a person in the estimation of right-thinking member of a society, generally, or which tends to make them shun or avoid that person. So defamation is nothing but a publication of a statement. If a person published any statement which tends to lower a person in the estimation of right-thinking member of the society. So a certain person in the society having a right thinking, and if due to the publication of any statement, if such person feels that the person against whom the statement is published, he is a wrong person, and if they start to avoid that person after publication of that statement, it means it is a defamation. So if the person is defamed in the estimation of right thinking member of the society, and the right thinking member of the society start avoiding that person after publication of a statement, it means it is a defamation, according to Winfield. Salmond defines the term defamation. The wrong of defamation consists in the publication of a false and defamatory statement respecting another person without lawful justification or excuse. So when the wrong of defamation consists, whenever any person published any false and defamatory statement, both things must be there. The statement must be false as well as it must be defamatory. If the statement is false but not defamatory, it will not be the defamation. If the statement is defamatory but it is not false, then also it will not be the defamation. So false and defamatory statement must be there. If I published any false and defamatory statement respecting any other person, and I am having no lawful justification for that, I am having no lawful excuse for that, then I will be held responsible for the tort of defamation. If I am publishing a correct statement, then I will not be entitled, I will not be liable for the tort of defamation. When I will be liable? If I published a false and defamatory statement without any lawful justification, then only it will be the defamation, otherwise not, according to Salmon. Now we will move towards the kinds of defamation. The first kind of defamation is libel. So libel means it is a publication of a false and defamatory statement in some permanent form. So whenever any person published any statement which is false and defamatory, and if that statement is in permanent form, it is called libel. And when the statement will be in permanent form, writing, suppose if I have written any defamatory statement which is a false one, then it will comes under the category of libel. So written statement comes under the category of libel because written statement is in permanent form. If I draw any picture and through that picture if I defame any person, it comes under the category of libel because picture is also in permanent form. If I create any image will also comes under the category of permanent form, that's why it is libel. Statue, suppose if I made a statue and through that statue I defame some person, it also comes under the category of permanent form, and that's why it is a libel. This is an example of libel. All these two images represent that this statement is in written form. That's why these two images are the example of libel, because written statement is in permanent form. So in respect of libel, we can say that whenever any person published any statement which is in permanent form, which is in written form, it will comes under the category of libel. There is a case relating to the libel, Balram versus Sukh Sampat Lala. Plaintiff was a property broker. In this case, the plaintiff was a property broker, and the defendant in a Lok Jeevan daily newspaper published an advertisement relating to plaintiff, in which plaintiff was imputed with doing fraudulent business. So defendant published an advertisement in his paper relating to the plaintiff, and in that advertisement defendant shows a plaintiff as he was doing a fraudulent business. He used to commit fraud in his business. It is definitely a defamatory statement, and as it is published in the newspaper, that's why it is in permanent form and it comes under the category of libel. So in this case, court held liable to the defendant for the tort of defamation. Now the second kind of defamation is slander. It is a false and defamatory verbal or oral statement in non-permanent form, tending to injure the reputation of another without lawful justification or excuse. So whenever the person make any statement in verbal or oral form and it is in non-permanent form, and if the intention behind that statement is to injure the reputation of any other person and he is having no lawful justification, then it is called a slander. So slander means publication of defamatory statement in verbal or oral form. Verbal form means the statement will be in non-permanent form. As soon as I complete my statement, the effect of the statement comes to an end, and that's why it is in non-permanent form. So slander means verbal or oral statement in non-permanent form. So these are the examples of slander. Mr. A is corrupted person. So this is a verbal statement, that's why it is an example of slander. So slander means verbal or oral statement. The representation may be expressed either by speech or its equivalent form. So slander may be made either by speech or its equivalent form. If I say something, it is a slander or its equivalent form. For example, nod. If I am shaking my head, if I am winking my eyes, if I am smiling, these are the facial expression, these are the expression which are in non-permanent form. That's why by these modes, if any person is defamed, so it will becomes under the category of slender. Slender is generally regarded as being addressed to that ear. Slender is generally addressed to the ear. Whatever I am saying now, this statement is addressing to you, your ear. So that's why verbal statement always addressed to the ear. So slender is addressing to the ear, but there is an exception. The finger language of the deaf and dumb, which though visible to the eye and not audible to the ear, is slender. Finger language of deaf and dumb. It is in non-permanent form. It addressed to the ear, it addressed to the eye, not to the ear. But it is a slender, not label. The finger language of deaf and dumb addressing to the eye, not to the ear, but it will comes under the category of slender because finger language is also in non-permanent form. It is not actionable per se. Slender is not actionable per se. Whenever, suppose if I want to file a suit against any person because he has published a verbal statement against me, verbal defamatory statement against me. So I will be succeed in my claim only if I prove any kind of loss due to the publication of that statement. If I prove loss, if I proved before the court of law that due to the publication of false and defamatory statement, I have sustained a loss. After proving the loss only I will get a compensation. If I fails to prove the loss, I will not get a compensation in case of slender. In case of a verbal statement, I have to prove the loss. But in case of libel, no need to prove the loss is there. So slender is not actionable per se. Slender when actionable per se. When slender becomes actionable per se. This is an exception. The first one is when criminal offense is charged. So by a statement, by a false and defamatory statement, if any person charge any criminal offense, then he will be liable to pay a compensation even though the plaintiff has suffered no loss. Suppose if I published any statement that A is a thief, then definitely if he is a thief, this is a criminal offense under section 379 of Indian Penal Code. If I made such a publication, see, I am charging a criminal offense against that person. Now he will be entitled to file a suit against me, and without proving the loss, he will be entitled to get loss. He will be entitled to get damages, because as soon as I charge a criminal offense, it becomes actionable per se. Slender becomes actionable per se. Second one is imputation of virulent disease. Suppose if I made a statement that so and so person is suffering from leprosy, then, and suppose if he has no disease, definitely it is a defamation and he will be entitled to file a suit against me, and he will be entitled to get a compensation even though he has suffered no loss. Because as soon as I made a statement regarding the disease, the slender becomes actionable per se. Next one is unfitness for office or profession. If by publication of verbal statement, if any person says that so and so person is unfit for his profession. Suppose if there is a surgeon and if I made a statement that that surgeon do not know how to operate, how to make surgery, it means he is unfit for his profession. Definitely he will be entitled to file a suit against me, and he will be entitled to get a compensation though he has suffered no loss. Proof of loss is not there at all. Actionable, slender becomes actionable per se as soon as I made a statement, and in that statement if I speaks that so and so person is unfit for his profession, then the slender becomes actionable per se. Next one is unchastity or adultery. Suppose if any statement made by any person against any woman, and by that statement if a person attacks on her reputation, then the slender becomes actionable per se. Suppose if I say that so and so woman is having an affair with another person, It means it is statement relating to adultery. Then she will be entitled to file a suit against me, though I made a verbal statement. In that particular case, she need not prove a loss because slander becomes actionable per se in these 4 circumstances. Otherwise, general rule is there. Slander is not actionable per se. In case of slander, the plaintiff has to prove the loss, then only he will get a compensation. But these are the 4 circumstances in which there is no need to prove on the part of the plaintiff, and without proving the loss, plaintiff will get a compensation. So these are the 2 types of defamation which we have discussed. I hope you understand this topic. If you understand this topic, please subscribe my channel, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends. Thank you very much.